Welcome to the next session on technology upgrades in the insurance industry. This is Syam Yellamraju, Global Head of Insurance Practice at Persistent Systems. Technology is at an explosion point today with major impact on many outcomes in the industry. Never before in the tech industry has technology unleashed this level of operational efficiency, connectivity, personalization, and above all, enable the businesses to drive new revenue at the same time cutting cost. Factors that are profoundly affecting the insurance industry, such as regulations, social needs, technology advances, economic instability, and environmental issues. These factors, particularly regulations and demographic shifts and climate change, are leading to a disparate customer base in which insurance are having to cover a greater array of risks and figure a way of handling these underwriting risks. In addition, there is a significant need to optimize the claims processing costs and reduce the actual claims paid. Let's have a good conversation. Please welcome Ken Tolson from Crawford and Company. Ken, would you please like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to chat today. I'm Ken Tolson. I lead our digital solutions practice at Crawford and Company. I've been in the industry a little over 30 years. Most of my career spent at Crawford and Company in a variety of operational roles, technology roles. The bulk of my background is in the P&C claim space itself, but just recently moved over to lead this digital solutions practice. We're a small team carved out within the Crawford enterprise to focus solely on SaaS and disruptive digital solution space. So really look forward to the chat.
You're so small, but actually your company, Crawford, has been growing significantly through record growth, and growth is not just supported by, but growth is powered by technology in Crawford, and that's with leadership coming from yourself and the other teams. As we kick off, the first one is, as the insurance industry continues its journey into the digital age, the role of TPS in the value chain is becoming crucial. How do you see the role of TPS changing in this, ever-changing market?
Well, there's no question that our role as both property casualty, you name the product line, TPA, is really one that you have to change and adapt to stay ahead of sort of the disruptive forces in the industry. We're fortunate from a client-based standpoint to have really critical partnership type relationships with our customer base, where it's not simply just a vendor relationship, but it's truly a partner relationship where you're really working to the good of a common goal, which is to protect that customer and to drive better solutions, better products, better customer experience. And you're going to hear me probably talk about customer experience a lot today, but it's what's really critical to driving true partnership. When you have a vision and a strategy aligned with your customer, you're in the best possible situation to be successful for the long term. And that's where our investment, whether it's technology or people or process that we're investing in, is for a long-term relationship with our customers and making sure that we're delivering to meet their goals, not just a bottom line of whether it's revenue growth or profit growth on our side or their side. It's really about supporting one another's strategy.
Yeah, you mentioned customer experience, and that comes with personalization. That seems to be another trend that is transforming the insurance industry and how the services are provided to the policyholders. In your view, how crucial is personalization in the commercial lines? It does differ from the personal lines in terms of the personalization. How is that important, first? And second, is the level of focus you all have, particularly in Crawford, on personalization, is that a differentiating factor for you to attract potential customers?
There's no question that in the commercial line space versus the personal line space, personalization is important, but it's different. It sometimes can be more complex in the commercial line space because you've got just different stakeholders with different relationship to the loss itself in the claim space. Personalization is vital as a differentiation point in the personal line space, and it's it may be simpler, but the scale of it and the quantities that you're dealing with, it makes it probably more difficult to execute, and why it's so important to execute well. You can fail in the personalization space and do more damage to the customer experience. So you have to be really thoughtful about how you implement solutions that allow you to harness the value of all the data that you have and what you know about that customer, but use it in a way that doesn't come across as robotic or impersonal. That's a real challenge and a matter of being thoughtful and not simply implementing technology for the sake of technology, but doing it in a way that really helps drive better connection to your customer. And we always say it's about driving as good or better outcomes while actually also trying to achieve lower cost. And that's possible, but you can't deliver you can't deliver better outcomes at the expense of the customer experience either. It has to be complementary and allow you to scale. So we're very cognizant of that relationship. Commercial lines is very different from the standpoint of that so many more stakeholders and different perspectives on a loss, and then the complexity of many locations or many risks compared to fewer risk on the personal line side. But just as important that you execute well, and there's not a one size fits all. When it comes to personalization, you have to treat them uniquely different. And we try to do that across every product line, even within personal lines or within commercial lines, is being very respectful of tailoring solutions to the product, not and the people involved in the product, not simply to one, binary of personal lines versus commercial lines.
Yeah, insurance is nothing but a promise, right? As a claims adjuster, policyholders and carriers trust you, both sides, and there's actually a dichotomy there. And in the technology advancements where claims are straight through processed, or particularly in personal lines, or even image-based processing in some of the simpler commercial, like property and other stuff, there's a potential, there's a tendency to be hands-off in the claims processing. How is the digital and high tech impacting that delivery of a promise, which is what the insured buy?
That's a really good question, because you're right. You're not just dealing with an insured or a claimant. You're dealing with an insured that might come from multi-generational focus or the way they want to be dealt with as the customer. And the great thing about some of the solutions that we work with today is you have the ability to tailor the level of interaction based on how the customer wants to be engaged. Some customers absolutely want to have a purely text type of engagement to both report a claim, but also manage the claim. But then when they want to talk to somebody, they want to talk to somebody. So you have to be able to deal with those on and off ramps to be able to really connect a customer when the way they want to be connected. And like you said, it really is about delivering on that promise. At the end of the day, it takes longer to adjudicate that claim. It takes longer to deliver the funds digitally back to that individual. You're losing the customer experience aspect of that, and you're probably not going to retain that customer for our customer. So it's really about balancing and being thoughtful about how you implement these solutions. Are you really driving speed? And I'll tell you, our customers measure this to the nth degree. I see better and better and better management of the customer engagement and digging into the root causes of what drives a degradation of whether it's net promoter score or simply customer sentiment, is whether it's analyzing the voice calls or it's analyzing the NPS drop simply from having to hand off a customer multiple times. Carriers really manage and measure this stuff because they're competing so closely today on that customer experience and delivering on that promise. It is absolutely, critical delivery expectations from our customers today.
That actually leads me to my next thought. Crawford, your company stands out in the market due to its technology-driven approach. Can even sometimes be considered insure tech too in some ways, right? How is that helping you with not only internal delivery, but the impact on the customer service and the market and your revenue?
Well, and I appreciate that comment because it comes down to investment. What we we see ourselves as truly to partners, as I mentioned earlier, to our customers. And that means we have to constantly look at the market and look at new ways of doing things, not doing things the same way we've always done them in our 80 plus year history, about constantly reinventing and reimagining the claims process. And, the pace of change is ever increasing and it's just getting faster and faster and faster and tougher to compete. So we know we have to invest, whether it's in people, whether it's in technology, or whether it's in the processes that pull those two together into holistic solutions. We're constantly investing in this space. And you'll find when you look at our, public balance sheet that we invest a lot of capital at building some technology, but we also invest a lot in key partnerships around the industry as well, where we would rather acquire and integrate technology versus developing technology. And then we have key partners as well that help us in the development of technology. So, it's a real holistic approach, but it goes back to one of our core strategic tenets of entrepreneurial spirit that really goes back through our legacy of constantly reinventing and trying to stay at maybe not at the bleeding edge, but pretty close behind the bleeding edge of the market itself to help our customers stay relevant and to help us stay, relevant in a marketplace that's changing really quickly. You can't keep doing the same thing over and over, and expecting that to lead you forward. And we have had really good growth over the past. I think we pulled together, 13 consecutive quarters of growth. I mean, we're really proud of that streak.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you don't rest on those laurels either. You have to constantly innovate and challenge the market. And our customers do that to us, and it's what drives us forward.
Yeah, that's once you do 13 quarters in a row, the market expects the 14th, right?
14th and the 15th.
That's not easy. Yeah. So in the PNC world, there seems to be tremendous pressure on the costs, right? Even as the CAT claims are going up significantly. The claims costs have increased 7% in commercial lines and about 14% in personal lines last year. Now, how should a TPA firm like Crawford compete in this market where the costs are going up and the expectation is to keep the costs low?
Yeah, without a doubt, there's tremendous pressure in the market right now to continue to drive costs lower. And you not only have to look at sort of the way you've done things in the past, but you have to constantly look at new tools and solutions that can help you bring additional cost to your customer. And it's not just about reducing our cost internally to protect our margins. It's about lowering cost overall. And that's where you have to be really creative about looking at alternative solutions. And you see this all over the PNC industry, whether it's tools like self-service or it's alternative inspection tools. We've developed some ourselves. We have largely partnered in key spaces to be able to bring some of those solutions in and return some of that cost and take cost out of the mechanism itself to help our carrier partners improve their bottom line. But at the same time, it can't be done at the cost of the customer's experience. So we're trying diligently to continually keep an eye, forward to new technologies that are becoming available. We invest in going to the ITC conference every single year. We're a constant speaker in the innovation space. Looking for key partnerships out there to drive innovation forward and look for new ways of doing things differently. The pandemic actually helped with some of that in some ways. It helped put pressure on carriers and ourselves to more rapidly adopt. And I think you're seeing some of that benefit today, even though there's probably was a little bit of bounce back to tradition, not complete bounce back after the pandemic itself. So that's the key is constantly reimagining the claims process itself and looking for ways to take cost out because the pressures are on our carriers to be more competitive. There's lots of inflationary pressures on them as well that are driving up indemnity costs right now. So we have to keep the LAE cost in check.
Crawford is actually in a great place because you are a TPA. Majority of the work you do is TPA. You are between the carriers and the insured. So that kind of makes me think about, you all process the claims and do a lot of back-end work for many large carriers, as well as agencies across many LOBs. So that should be giving you a gold mine of data. Access to it that you have. Now, how does Crawford use proactively? You did mention a lot of times about competing with the various markets and competitive products and that kind of stuff. How is this claims data helping you in proactively position yourself in the market?
Yeah, it's a distinct advantage. There's no question about it that we get sort of behind the scenes view
Right.
of really the best in it. We work for, 4 of the top 5 carriers, 17 or 18, I think, of the top 20 carriers in the US. So we see the sort of best practices of the best. And not just that, then we reap the benefits of also seeing the data flow across the claims processes that happen from there. And while we have to be cognizant of the privacy and controls around that data, the sort of abstraction of that data gives us tremendous views
Excellent.
into how the world actually works and how to better improve claim process. And what we try to be is very cognizant of the sensitivity around privacy and adhere to the controls around that, but at the same time, improve claim process and improve and give our clients better insight, not just from their own data, but from an industry viewpoint as well. And we do this from everything from building, auditing standards and QA and quality standards. We build it into the best cases of our auditing automation software that we have. So we get the advantage of that. And that's we see it as a true value proposition of our own to take to the market for carriers to do business with us. We see it as a distinct advantage in the marketplace, and there's no question about it. We benefit from it, and it makes us better. It makes our people better, and it makes our insight better.
Correct. And the new buzzword in the market across the globe is right now is Gen AI. How do you see Gen AI answering the industry trends like operational efficiency, or reducing the claims cost and the claims payout costs, and integration between carriers and the TPS? Do you see significant impact coming from that?
Yeah, I think we have just begun to scratch the surface in the generative AI space. We'll talk about it in a few minutes as well, but we have several use cases that we're exploring right now. But what I see at the moment is really a tremendous opportunity to use generative AI as it's learning, we're putting more use cases and more scenarios into these large language models, is the ability to augment the adjuster in terms of insight, pre-work for them to give them some lift. Actually, we had a customer just 2 weeks ago bring this issue up from us, not so much of the fear in most people's minds is this will replace adjusters. It was really taken from the viewpoint of how can I take large processing of data and give some lift to our adjusters from a quality of life standpoint and better prepare them productivity wise to be able to make better decisions, exercise their judgment, and do a lot of that pre-work of crunching, whether it's large policy information or it's large data analysis that needs to be done. I think there's tremendous opportunity, and I think that's going to continue to evolve. Will generative AI get to the point where it can fully interpret a policy and make a decision? Absolutely. We're not there yet, but there's no question that we have just begun to scratch the surface. We see a number of early use cases to be able to apply the technology and have been applying the technology to be able to return productivity, take out cost, to make better decisions, to make better informed decisions, to improve accuracy. There's just so many use cases right now that we're cautiously charging forward. Let's put it that way.
So, Ken, in my mind, I see three entities in a workflow or a value chain. There's carriers themselves and the TPAs and the agencies, and then the insured, right? Technology can be applied, Gen AI can be applied across them. So in terms of the companies or in the value chain like yourselves, how do you see the Gen AI helping you in the document management, the claims processing, repair management? Those were some 3-4 use cases that I was thinking about. Is that helping you?
Yeah, so that's a great document processing when it comes to especially policy. We're very focused right now on a coverage interpretation. You think about the commercial line space. You've got vast amounts of possibly varied policy, depending upon the complexity of the customer themselves, to be able to review policy language and provide guidance to an adjuster around, covered loss, non-covered loss, or you've got special limits, or you've got subsets of limits or restrictions on coverage, to be able to surface those things on these large, varied, sometimes even manuscript type policies. So we see a tremendous opportunity. We're working on that right now. We see a lot of interest in this space because on the TPA side, it can actually help us eliminate overpay. It can actually help us eliminate E&O type exposure on the TPA side. On the carrier side, it can eliminate overpay, be more sensitive to limit overruns, and then also just catching coverage concerns early in the process. Because one of the things we do from a triaging standpoint is we want to get coverage out of the way as quickly as possible, but coverage is key. If you've got to have a clear flag on coverage to proceed on a claim, or you're in a waiver and estoppel situation for a carrier. And we see if we can accelerate that process, which is a very complicated, just like the legal realm of findings and rulings, we see this as an opportunity to help inform the adjuster to move quicker and to make things happen more quickly in the claims process. So that's one area, and that's a big document piece when you think about it. It's a massive forms and endorsements and decks and declarations and policy limits and deductibles, and it's a complex area. And we've already seen some success in this space on the coverage space. And that's just one use case. And then we see that leading to other use cases. We believe that what we can equip an adjuster with on the coverage interpretation side, we could actually expose to the consumer as well to help drive awareness of what coverage exists and even gaps in coverage they may not know they have, and possibly even turn that into lead generation at some point in time for the market as well. So we see these solutions leading to other solutions once we do the work. And we saw this at ITC as well, where we were looking at doing coverage interpretation. But what we also saw is on the production side of the house, others looking at being able to compare rates in coverage, actually digging into the policy and saying, for this rate, you can cover this, for this rate, you can cover that, and making the consumer better informed about what policy to choose and what risk they were deciding to retain. That type of analysis is going to be completely possible with generative AI. No question about it. You can chat and actually, do this stuff in real time or predefine scripts against policy language. So we just see lots of opportunity in just this space, and this is just one use case.
So basically what you're saying is the popular fear in people's mind that Gen AI is going to replace people is almost silly. What you're saying is the Gen AI is actually a very, very powerful tool that you can give to an educator or any person in the value chain for them to do their job better, not anything else.
That is my belief, and the belief we hold is, how do we make ourselves better with this tool? And even though it's a really powerful tool, I don't want to equate it to what others have maybe said it's just a new form of tape measure. It's much more powerful than that. But it is a new tool for us as humans to become conversant and to be able to AI prompt. That is the killer skill, I think, for young people today coming into this industry, or anybody that's interested in this type of technology, is learn what it's capable of. AI works differently than the human brain. There are things that the human brain will always be able to do better. There are things that a generative AI will do better than our brain will as well. And it's understanding where its use case and where it can be powerful for our business is really the key right now. And then, for people like you and I, is to educate the masses about the potential. It's really about, for my team, my digital solutions team, I almost think inside of Crawford, especially, half of our job is really educating our workforce on the art of the possible, what is possible today. And then the market will drive us, in one direction or the other. But it's our job to kind of help improve people's understanding of this technology.
Change management is one of the key elements in this process. I absolutely agree with you. Now, how is, there are two of the three are the carriers and the TPS in the value chain. How do you see the technology, Gen AI or any other, helping the integration between these two entities to help serve the insured better?
Oh, that's a great question. It comes back to me is customer experience is
Sure.
We're looking for ways to put Gen AI in a space that helps improve the customer touch point and the customer outcomes themselves. So anything that can improve accuracy, improve keeping the policyholder more informed throughout the process, or accelerating the claim process, we're trying to invest in that space. We really think that, and anything we try to avoid investing in things that are more tactically or inwardly focused and things that our customer can feel the value of our investment. We try to be very thoughtful about investing in ways that have an impact, not just only to our customer, but our customer's customer. And then they can reap the benefits of our investment as well. And that's why we think that our priority on investing in their customer is why I think we're different in the industry as well. You can always invest and try to cut costs to improve margin, but that's the short game. For us, the long game and the long win for our customers is long-term relationships and helping them grow. And so we try to have a bias towards operating that way and investing that way. And that's where I think generative AI is going to be a game changer in driving better customer experience. But it's got to be done the right way. It's got to be done in such a way that that's thoughtful, that really does drive better outcomes, and it has on and off ramps into the technology. Because when people want to talk to people, they want to talk to people. We've got to be sensitive to not just overwhelming people with technology and getting them into that loop. That's why that human in the loop aspect of AI right now is so critical to helping our adjusters and our frontline personnel be the best that they can be and spend their time focused on customer and not on needless clicks and large amounts of data analysis. That's where generative AI is going to have a powerful, really powerful impact to our industry.
In addition to the traditional claims processing, what do you think are the new services a tech-savvy company like Crawford can bring to the market?
So we really think we look at the market holistically from, there's lots of technologies out there, whether it's generative AI or it's other, a few years ago, it was robotic process automation, and all of the capabilities around that, and then self-service and disruption. And now AI has kind of taken over the whole vocabulary out there. We see ourselves as an aggregator of these solutions because while there are disruptive technologies or disruptive processes that may cover 20% of the claim population or 10% of the claim population, we still have to handle 100% of the claims, and we can't solve for 20%. We have to solve for 100% of the claims. So we have to not only bring disruptive capabilities to improve that 20 to 30% of the claim population, but we also have to keep in mind that we still have to handle the other 70% of the claims themselves. And if that takes a traditional approach, it takes a traditional approach. And that's where we really analyze a lot on how we can move between those channel segments and improve customer outcomes without losing customer experience. And that's where we can really add value. And I think that's where we try to be really sensitive to driving change and driving innovation, but at the same time understanding that you still have to bring every claim along the path. Every claim doesn't fit. You can't square peg and to the round hole every single claim out there. And that's where you lose on the customer experience side. So it's really a holistic approach to the claims environment while keeping an eye to the future.
You're delivering a promise. You're responsible for the whole claim end to end and not a piece of it. So completely agree to your point. Do you see a difference I know your playground is the entire globe. Do you see a difference in the tech adaptation, say specifically in Gen AI, digitization across different geographies? As an example, are Europe, APAC, and USA, LATAM, are they all around the same place in terms of technology adoption?
I would say there's a lot of alignment on curiosity. There's not a lot of alignment. There's a lot of diversity of adoption because there's a lot of concern. And it's the things that everybody's concerned about. It's about privacy. It's about customer data. It's about, the concerns of hallucination within an AI model itself and that's why we think human in the loop is really important as we're learning about this, is making sure we don't take humans out of the loop of the process itself. But what we're seeing in what we call our tier one countries, which are really Australia, the UK, Canada, and the US, we're very focused and moving very quickly in these spaces with instances of standing them up compliantly in this space, working with our carrier partners in those markets and making sure we're doing it in a compliant and safe and secure method. The pace will be different, all over, but the biggest amount of investment is no question going on in the U.S. So the U.S. will lead this race, but it may not ultimately win this race. You will see other countries eventually get their hand. They'll look to see the lessons learned in the U.S. And the beauty of that for us is that we'll have knowledge of all of those markets and can learn. We will make mistakes as well, but we're going about this in a cautious way that we'll learn quickly from those internal mistakes we make before we ever put a customer's data at risk or take any risk along those lines. We'll do it in a secure way. And plus, we're a publicly traded company. I mean, we're held to the highest standards of vendor assessment, security assessments. Our own standards are usually as high or higher than many of our customer standards. So that's why we think we're a good partner in this space. But we have a global viewpoint of where we can make the most impact from this. But we're seeing tremendous appetite, especially in this cover product right now. We're seeing tremendous appetite to get better insight into what they can do to take the lift off and get better accuracy and understanding of policy exceptions, policy sublimits, policy summary, in what is a very vast and complex world to navigate.
Yeah. To compete in the tech market globally, without getting into your confidential investments, what kinds of investments or what kind of areas would you bet your investments on? Like,
From a tech
yeah.
space, from a technology space. Well, we've talked a lot about generative AI. What we're trying to do is to build the foundation for generative AI so that, like, as we uncover an area of opportunity, we have the ability to expand it and solve other problems with it right now. And then we also we talk to customers every single day about where they're investing. We demo every single day to customers. And demoing for me is also a function of learning for us. We pay special focus on the questions that our customers ask us about the products that we're developing, because the questions are where the gaps come from for us, either in us telling the story of what we're investing in, but also in where our customers' heads are about where they're investing and going to. And that's been a real collaborative approach for us with our customers. Is this is where we're investing. We share this information openly with our customers as well, so we can learn as much and they can learn from us as well. We really don't. We're not that protective about where our thoughts are and where our direction is in that space, because we expect to compete and to innovate at a pace to lead the industry. We don't really get concerned about, we hope people will follow in those footsteps, because we expect to keep the sort of foot on the accelerator moving forward.
Thank you. I think we had a really good fireside chat, and I want to summarize a bit and then get you to summarize your thoughts as well. So looking at it from there are three entities in the value chain, like we discussed about. The carriers, where you're focused on investing in the external point of view and ensuring that the carriers and the policyholders are getting the most value out of your thoughtfulness and of your investments into proactive solutions and technology. That's very, very good. And second is, internally, you're looking at usage of technology for better decision making, accuracy, and speed to market. These are some of the things, of course, with human in the loop. Without that, it would be a disaster. And of course, from a policyholder point of view, you're looking at how do you improve the customer experience? How do you deliver the promise that's been made through the carriers? And the personalization that goes with it, be it commercial or more in auto or personal lines, but more across the value chains. So you have a lot of work cut out for you guys ahead of time, and technology is definitely at a place where it's making us better, making the world better. So thank you for that, and I would like to invite you to have your remarks, and please do put in a pitch for Crawford as well.
No, I really appreciate the conversation today. You're right. It's really about staying ahead of looking forward for us. It's really about looking forward down the road and not looking backwards in terms of innovation and learning from our past, but also innovating in such a way that we can drive better customer outcomes. We always want to take the perspective of making a better customer experience for our policyholder or the claimant, whoever's involved in the claim process itself, and driving great outcomes, helping our customers retain customers, and also perform better financially and more stable, being a stable financial entity as well, because we're invested in their long-term growth and their long-term strategy, and therefore we want to be a long-term customer and partner to them as well. So we're really excited about the possibilities. We see this industry dramatically changing and its pace of change continuing to accelerate over the next 5 to 10 years. We've seen that happen through the evolution in the PNC industry from managed repair into touchless claims. We want to be the solution provider that is top of mind for our customers, and we know we have to invest and constantly innovate to be that top of mind for them. So we feel that we are a partner of choice in that space, and we want to continue to hold that position as well. And we do that by having the best people and the best focus and technology and capabilities, and delivering on that promise every single day for our customers. So, we think the future is very bright, and we will keep our foot on the accelerator.
Thank you for your time, Ken. This is definitely an exciting time for Crawford and the insurance industry. And I wish you and your team the very best of success. This has been an insightful conversation, and I do see it as a direction setting for the industry. Thank you to everybody, and welcome your comments and feedback. Okay, thank you.